Hello, everybody. Cheers. Happy Wednesday, or whatever day of the week it is when you're watching or listening to this. Welcome to this week's episode of the With Her Two Hands podcast. Each week, we celebrate the women who build, fix, and make the things that make the world go round. I am your host, Bogi, and I am thrilled about tonight's guest. She is proof that it's never too late to follow your passions and totally do an about face in your career and in your life. I think, like many folks, when COVID came along, it forced us to question things in our lives, reevaluate, reprioritize, and the case that was definitely the case for tonight's guest. And so we're going to hear how she totally changed her life, turned it upside down, and is now kicking butt and taking names, working in the trades. Before we invite her on, I just want to thank all of you for joining this show, for being a part of this revolution, as I like to call it, to normalize women in the trades. Hopefully one day this show isn't necessary. We're all just folks in the trades. Some are men, some are women, and it doesn't really matter. But for right now, women make up less than 10% across all of the trades, and in many trades as low as 2% or even less. I think right now auto mechanics are like 1.8%. So not a whole very large percent. But even though it's a small percentage, there are thousands and thousands of amazing women kicking butt in the trades every day. And the show is about shining a light on them and celebrating them. They are often overlooked, often missed, often not celebrated. So that's what this is all about. And I appreciate you guys all being a part of that. Make sure you hit like, hit subscribe. If you enjoy this, make sure the algorithm knows so that they spread the word, so that the right person who needs to see these episodes gets to watch them and gets to be inspired by these incredible women. So thank you guys for that. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on tonight's guest, Miss Sarah Rurikas. Hello, how are you?
Hi.
Did I get your last name right?
You did. You did a very good job.
Okay. I was practicing like the whole time while the intro video was going. I was like, Rurikas, trying to get it right. Welcome. Thank you so much for saying yes. This is your first podcast, right?
It is. I've never done anything like this before, so I'm really excited and absolutely thrilled. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you.
I love it. I'm so honored. I love when people say yes, even though they're a little bit nervous and have never done anything like this. But of course you would, because you're the person who said yes to totally changing your life and turning it upside down. So why not? So tell the fine folks at home where you are and what you do professionally.
Okay, well, currently I am in New Brunswick, Canada. I had mentioned to you earlier that I just moved, so this is also a new chapter. So like I am currently in the hunt for a whole new job out here, but I'm a welder. I went to a small private welding school, and it really didn't take me very long, but yeah, I've been loving it.
Awesome. Okay, so you're currently a welder. You just moved. You bought your first house.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Congratulations. That's huge. And so you moved, did you leave the job that you were at then too? You like totally uprooted.
Yes.
Oh
Yes,
my
I'm
goodness.
currently totally uprooted. Um,
Okay.
it was sad to leave that job because it was a good one, and there was a lot of great people that I worked with.
Yeah. What precipitated the move? What made you decide to do that?
Just what we were able to purchase here versus at home in Ontario. Things are far,
Mm,
far more expensive there, house
yep.
and property wise. So it
Yep.
was just an opportunity we couldn't pass.
That is totally fair. I completely understand. That's how I wound up out in Arizona, so I get it. Yeah. It is sometimes you got to go where the cost of living is a little bit more affordable. Okay, so let's go back in time a little bit
Okay.
because as I mentioned to everybody in the introduction, this is not your first career. So what were you doing in your last life?
I spent nearly 15 years as a registered massage therapist. Um, that was the program I took directly out of high school and worked for what felt like forever doing it.
Yeah.
Um, but what kind of burnt me out at the end of doing that was the fact that it just wasn't providing quite enough income that I always seemed to need to have a second job at the same time,
Mm,
usually some sort of sales or customer service job. And doing both of those things at the same time, just, I was tired. And
yeah.
then I had the opportunity to make a change. So then I took
Okay.
it.
All right. We're going to have to dig into that a little bit more. We can't just gloss over it like that because that's huge. Like that's a huge thing. But so you went into your career right out of high school. What made you pursue that path? Why massage therapy? What how did that happen?
I've always been someone who's enjoyed working with their hands,
Okay.
which truly started when I was really young. My dad had 4 daughters. So when it was time to build things, make things, fix things, we were the ones in there learning to use tools and getting our hands on things.
Nice.
And then at some point during early high school, I had a chance to get a massage. And it was like, oh, this is cool. Not only am I using my hands, but I get to help people. And it was really interesting thing. So I stuck right to that. But I did have the opportunity in the ninth grade to do a small like set of shop classes that allowed me to get into the shops in the school and try stuff out. We had a wood shop, an auto shop,
Oh, nice.
a metal shop more for like thin stuff. Um, but those courses weren't encouraged. So that's what kind of led me more towards something like massages. They let you dabble in some of these things, which on the topic of being, women in trades, they had, I think, 5 or 6 different modules in that course. The one
Mhm.
I took was classified as the boys version because the other one had cooking class and cosmetology and all that stuff. So that's where most of the girls took. There were only a total of 10 girls taking that shop class. So each of the modules, there were only a pair of girls in each of it taking them. So often we paired up together and had a lot of fun in that class, but it wasn't encouraged for anybody, even the boys. The
I was
ones
going to
that
ask
took
you
shop were
it,
often steered there because they didn't think they were going to be good at anything else.
okay. And that's what my experience was when I was in high school, but I feel like some schools are coming around and kind of changing how they do things and there's a little bit more of valuing of the trades, but that's interesting to hear because that wasn't you're much younger than I am. And so that's not that long ago in the grand scheme of things that they were still so
I don't know. I don't think
gendered.
it was much younger than you should think, but continue.
Oh, really? Well, now we have to know. When were you in high school?
I graduated from high school in 2004.
Okay, yeah, I'm quite a bit older than you, but not as much as I thought.
Well, you
I
don't
thought I was
know
like
it.
twice your age, but yeah, no, not as bad. But so it was not encouraged for anybody, male or
Not
female.
not really.
And were
It
they
wasn't long after I
outwardly
graduated that they took half of the shop's classes out of the school completely.
yeah,
I'm not sure if they
yeah.
ever came back.
Yeah. I feel like we're starting to see them coming back, but they definitely went away there for a little while. And some school districts they're coming back, and in some school districts they aren't. But I think a lot of that stigma still stays, where it's like not encouraged because you should be going to a 4-year college, which not everybody should be. Not everybody needs to.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but then within that, there was double layer, right? There's the layer of not being encouraged, and then there's the layer of boys go over here and girls go over here.
Yeah.
So
I've heard
were
that they've
they
mixed it up and made more options and a little more
okay?
customizable nowadays,
Okay, good.
but
Were
it was,
were
yeah,
they
very segregated.
were they outwardly calling it the boys' classes? Like, was that like the boys'
I don't think it
program?
was on paper, but that's what everybody called it. It was the girls versus boys because there weren't very many boys taking the cosmetology
Right,
and not very many
right.
girls that were like, interested in getting into the auto shop.
So did you feel like, I mean, because you got to dabble in it a little bit, but did you feel like it just wasn't an option to pursue that back then? Like it,
Well, not really, because as you said, it was you got to go to university. You got to go to university. Massage therapy is a college course, and I even got grief from people going to college versus going to university at that point because it wasn't as accepted as, a lot of college programs are now.
Interesting. Yeah.
And the way that it works is like with Canada is college and university are on very different levels. Is you basically your community college versus your big university.
Gotcha. How was your family about this? How was mom and dad, or how did they feel about you pursuing or not going to a university?
They were supportive regardless of what I chose. I was
Awesome.
the first one in my family to truly take a full college program. So they were just
Awesome.
excited for me to find something I love to do.
Heck yeah.
They were
That's
just as
awesome.
excited when I told them I was going to do welding as well.
Nice. I love that. It's always good hearing about supportive parents. Well, and obviously your dad was getting you in there when you were young fixing stuff, which a lot of dads didn't do, right? They just wouldn't include their girls in that. So that's really awesome
He didn't have
that
an option. He said, I need hands. Let's go.
right? Although you'd be surprised, that doesn't stop a lot of dads from not allowing their daughters in. So we still cheers to your dad for getting you in there. But okay, so you're massage therapying, you've got this successful career, except it's not providing enough. You're still needing to work a second job, which is never a good feeling. You know, you go to school for something, you're skilled in it, and it's not enough. So I can totally understand the burnout there. Was it the burnout that made you stop, or was it COVID, or did they come around at the same time? Like, talk to me about this little mini midlife crisis that you kind of talked about.
They kind of came around at the same time. The burnout had started.
Okay.
Is leading into it, I wasn't feeling the passion for going to to work on a daily basis. Um,
Yeah.
it really was just not making me happy anymore. And then then everybody was told to stop for a second, and it gave me the chance to step back and go, okay, what else do I want to do?
Yeah. Talk to me a bit about what that was like for you, because I feel like, everybody had their own experiences of COVID and the shutdowns and the pause, right? Like everything paused for folks that weren't essential workers, and we really had to reestablish or reevaluate, I guess. But it was a different journey for everybody. So, what was that like for you? You're a little bit burnt out, you're exhausted, and then everything stops. Did you immediately launch into, okay, what's next? I'm ready for something different. Was there a tell me what that journey was like?
There was definitely a period of just breathing. Like I have a dog, so like there were a lot of days at the beginning where the dog and I just went and walked and did a lot of thinking, and because realistically, I could have kept massaging very easily. Like there hit a point where they allowed us to go back to work, and I did for a little while I was waiting to get into school, but it didn't take long. There's really a couple weeks of just being like, okay, can I actually do nothing? Is this allowed? Um, but then my husband got in my ear and he was like, now's the time to look at things that I've been suggesting for a long time, but you've been, I'm too busy, I'm too busy, I'm too busy, which when you're working two jobs, you are too busy to try and go to school.
Absolutely.
So he's like, you really should look into welding. He's like, I think you would love it.
What made him think that this was going to be a fit for you? Did he know that this was something you were intrigued with back in high school and had never pursued? Or like, what made him say, honey, I think welding is a good fit for you?
I'm not fully sure because I had never tried welding before in my whole entire life. Um,
Interesting.
we watch one of our the types of shows we like to watch are the car restoration shows, and we watch a lot of people do different types of welding. And it's something he's often been a little interested in, but he's
Okay.
got some eye problems that if he took a flash, it could be all over for him. So he's not allowed
Well,
to mess around with that too much. Um, but he's seen me work with tools. He's seen me, do projects at home and do projects with my dad, and he knows I'm the kind of personality that would fit into the type of atmospheres that, working in the trades comes with. So he's like, I
Okay.
really think this would be something for you. Plus, we knew it was going to make at least a little bit more money than what I was making before.
Yeah. Okay. I love the randomness of it to a certain degree. Like it just was kind a little bit out of nowhere, but something told him that this was a good fit for you and kept bugging you about it. What made you finally say yes, okay, let's do it. Let's take the plunge. I can take the time off and dedicate to going to school and do this and make this change.
It was really us looking towards the future. We had been getting out of debts and saving money and trying to get to a point where we could buy a house, which we finally have. But it really was okay. This sort of thing can really propel our lives into the next chapter that we want to have. So that was really the big thing. Was it's like, okay, I need to take a step up in the type of career that I'm having right now.
Awesome. And has it done what you hoped it would do?
It absolutely has. It's not only allowed us to purchase a home, but it has brought out a confidence in me that I knew was there, but was a little more on the back burner because it didn't fit with what I did.
Mhm.
But ask the guys I work with, the days that I walk through the shop, like I own the place at times. The it makes them laugh.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I feel like that is just such like the poster child story of what's possible in the trades. I do think it brings out an incredible confidence, particularly in women, um, to master a trade and to be able to excel in it. I think there's just something really confidence building about that. But I love that it provided financial stability for you in the way that like we as tradespeople know that this is real. Like this is a thing that
Mhm,
the
mhm.
trades are really well paid, but like the rest of the world seems to not realize this. I feel like they don't realize the opportunity that exists in the trades for people for their
No,
kids,
it's
right?
true. But at the
Yeah,
same time, it can be hard work, and so it kind of goes together.
yeah, it's true. Okay, so tell me, how did you pick a program? How did you make this leap? Because there's one thing to say, okay, I'm going to do it, and it's another thing to actually do it. Talk to me about the logistics
Um,
of changing your life around like you did.
okay, well, I was really lucky. Only about 20-25 minutes from my house was a small private welding school. It's
Oh,
called Bogi Welding Skills. It's in Ennismore, Ontario, for anybody that might be interested. Um, I started emailing them while everything was still shut down, and basically I was told as soon as we're opened up again, you can come on in. What they do for people is they let you come in and try it out, which for someone like me who had never ever welded in my whole entire life, that
yeah.
was a really great thing. Is they bring you in half a day, they let you try a couple of the different disciplines, and then you have the option. It's like, okay, are you signing up or what? It only took me one half of the day of welding to be like, oh shit, you know what? I really like this.
You're like, yes, please. Sign me up
Yeah.
right now.
Yep. I did that half day in about the middle of August. And then the weekend after Labor Day, I started at school.
Nice. What was
It
it?
was pardon?
What was it about it? Half a day in, what was it about it? Like, what was it a particular type of welding that grabbed you? Was it just all of it? What was it about it that made you, like, all in?
I don't know how to describe it. It the whole all the parts of it were really exciting. I don't know what it is about the sound and the smell. It just really just, I don't know, caught me. I was like, "You know what? I really like this." And what's one thing I've realized as I've been working is when I put my helmet down and I start welding, my brain goes quiet. When most of the time there's 1,000 monkeys running around and they're just being insane. So there's something about it that just, I'm focused. I got to look at what I'm doing. I got to focus on what I'm doing, and my brain goes quiet.
I love that. It's a meditation in its own weird way, right?
Yep.
It's ironic because you think about like the massage environment and it's like this zen, serene, quiet, like beautiful smells. And then you think about the shop environment where you're welding, and it is the antithesis of the massage environment. And yet you were finding more zen and more calm in the antithesis of this zen, calm environment.
Yeah,
There's something
I don't know
beautiful
why,
about
but
that.
I feel like I had that feeling for massage maybe at the beginning, but by the end, it wasn't shutting my brain off anymore. I was, massaging people and I'm planning my grocery list in my head versus being present in what I'm doing.
Yeah. So how long was this program that you went through, the school program? Talk to me about it.
It was, I stayed for an extra week just to get some extra stuff done, but it was only a 10-week course.
Oh, okay.
So wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It's not a 2-year college program or anything like that.
Okay.
They set their course up to get you in, get you trained, get you working.
Amazing.
And then they have they teach you basics. You learn MIG, TIG, stick, and flux core. If you want to learn to weld pressure pipe and stuff like that, they have another course that you can do separate for that. But yeah, over the span of 10 weeks, as long as you pass, you're guaranteed to leave with 3 welding tickets. Over the span of 11 weeks, I got 9 or 10. So
Nice.
I was in there. I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going 100 miles an hour. I learned everything I could possibly learn. It was an intense 10 weeks, but
yeah,
it was amazing.
I love it. I love how you just dove in head first and just went for it. Were the other students in the class, because the program that you're describing, I mean, it sounds perfect for somebody in your position a little later in life, changing things up. You don't have time to go to a 2-year program or a 4-year
Right.
program or whatever. Like, you have a life that you have to continue to support, and taking that time off isn't really possible. Was it a lot of folks in similar situations like you, or was it a lot of younger students? What was the makeup there?
While I was there, it was a really good, diverse group of people. You had age ranges. Well, at that point, I started just after they started reopening things slowly, after all the lockdowns and everything. So they were limiting how many people they had in class. So they weren't running a full group of people, but
Gotcha.
I don't know, there were maybe 15 to 20 people in the class, but all they were doing is they were only onboarding 2 new students each week.
Oh, wow.
And they had 3 instructors. So the instructor to student ratio was fantastic.
Yeah.
But to talk about the range, when I started the program, I was 35 years old. The guy that started at the same time as me, who I'm still friends with at this point, he had just turned 18 years old.
Aw.
So they definitely had a wide range of those who were young and wanting to get right in and get going versus those of us who were retraining as a second career in life.
Yeah. Anybody else with the COVID induced midlife crisis of I'm going to totally change my life around?
Yep. And one of the things that was really awesome is while I was there, that school had record attendance for females.
Nice.
We were almost 50-50 in the class of female students and male students. It was really awesome.
That is incredible. And really kind of cool that you only had so few students, that they were limiting it, because you got really hands-on and really personal attention that way, I assume.
It was fantastic. And while I was there, and even since then, I got to train with a female instructor as well.
Oh, wow.
which made the transition extra easy because having another woman in the shop, I was like, all right, I know this is going to be a good spot. So like we could just relate on a different level than a lot of like than I would have with any of the male instructors. Not that they weren't fantastic, but
Yeah.
it was really a really awesome thing to have a female instructor in there as well.
I think that's something we don't talk enough about is even when you have amazing male teachers, which it sounds like you did, the impact of having a female instructor or other females in the space that you can look up to and connect with, how much of a difference that makes. And it's not to take away from the men, it's just different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just a different thing entirely. And it's hard to explain why that is. Do you have a sense? Have you had any ability to kind of explain why that makes such a big difference for you?
I feel like it's the little things. It's being able to relate to certain things that the other ones don't. You know, you're having that day where you're crampy as hell and feeling like garbage, and you just share a look and you just know, and you're just like, she gets it.
Yep.
Which no matter how much you explain it, they don't get. So yeah, there's those moments where it's just like we're on the same page. Or there was one day I had a spark fall and it was very poorly positioned and it could have been really bad. And the guys were like, so what? And I was like, you don't get it. And she's like, I get it.
Been there, done that. Yep, I get it. Totally.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so you get out of this program. It's a 10 week, little longer program. You wind up with 8, 9 tickets, which explain for folks in the US, what does that mean? What does a ticket mean?
Uh Basically it's just passing
It's like a certification?
an inspector inspected, well, that was a poor choice of words. A welding inspector comes and checks on the quality of your welds to make sure that they can stamp you and say this person knows how to do this
Okay.
type of welding.
Okay, so it's like it's a certificate essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, same
Okay.
same sort of
Okay.
thing, just different wording.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So, how did you get your first job? How did that process work? You get out of school, you've got these certificates, you've got these tickets. Now what?
Uh, the great thing that the school does is part of the program is helping you set up your resume and do some mock interviews so that you're ready for uh, job hunting after the fact.
Nice.
Um, what sucked for me is I finished school right before Christmas. So my hiring period was extended a little bit there till the new year, but it really wasn't difficult because I had no restrictions on what I was willing to do. It was
Okay.
I would like a welding job, whatever type of welding it is, I'll take it because I am new at all of them. So I'll build my skills, and then if something else different comes along, then I'll learn those as well.
Okay.
My first job was, when you walk into a Costco, all the racks that's everything's on.
Uh-huh.
I built those racks. I technically supervised a welding robot. So my first welding job was
Oh,
barely welding.
interesting.
Is I stood there and loaded a beam into a robot, pushed a button, it welded it. I unloaded the beam, put another one in. But I
Oh,
also had
wow.
to quality control and fix any of the welds that the robot didn't do well. And sadly, it was more often than you think. You'd think those robots are supposed to be smart and good, but not always. They still need a person.
They do. They do. I'm so glad you brought that up because I feel like that's such a fear that people have of like, and to a degree, yes, there are jobs that are going to go away as robots continue to like be able to do more things, right? But
Mhm.
they still need human beings to man them, to operate them, to fix them when they break,
Yeah.
to
Fix
make
those
sure they're
and break
doing it
things.
right. That's a big one. It is a big one. I've got to let this gentleman brag on you really quickly. We've got one of your instructors saying that they were one of your instructors, the Canadian Welding Skills, and they're so proud of all of your accomplishments. You've got
Yeah,
lots of hands in the audience to.
basically it's his school.
Oh, nice. Very cool. It sounds like an awesome program. It really does. It's I definitely want to learn more about it. But did you have a particular type of welding that you enjoyed doing most that you wanted to pursue, or were you really just open to all of it?
I was truly open to all of it because although the one that I seem to have the most trouble with in school is the one that I do most at my jobs that I have,
And which is that?
is I struggled most with MIG welding, which is what apparently everybody says is the easy one.
Interesting.
But all of my welding jobs so far have been MIG welding, so that's gotten much better.
That's fascinating. So which one came easiest to you?
I think stick welding really was the one that came the easiest.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay.
Once I got into the flow of it, I really did enjoy TIG welding as well. That's something I would love to do more of because I
Mhm.
found that to be was another one of those ones that was really good for my brain, is just the concentration that it takes, especially as you're using both of your hands at the same time. It's like pat your head and rub your stomach. It's
Yes.
once you get into the flow of it, is you can't think about anything else. You have to
Yeah.
be focused on what you're doing.
Yes.
And they're so
I
pretty
totally, totally. I feel like
when you
TIG
do them well.
welding is so perfect for anybody who is like maybe a little like ADD, but is like really good at like hyper fixating on things because TIG really like forces that super focus. And then if you
Mhm,
can do
mhm.
that, it's like excellent for you. And you make a great welder if that's the case. Interesting. It's funny to me that MIG was challenging for you. And now that's all of what you're doing.
Right? But it's always how it goes, right? Is
Right.
the one job you struggle with is the thing that you always get stuck doing.
Absolutely. Okay, so your
But
first job.
practice makes you better, so, like, I've definitely those skills have gotten very, very good since then.
Absolutely. Oh, I can imagine. How long have you been a welder? How I guess how long since you graduated school, I should say.
Um, I guess I started working as welder in January of 2021.
Okay. So you've got a couple of years under your belt now.
Mhm, mhm. It's
Awesome.
been a good couple of years. I've had a few different jobs
Okay.
as a due to a combination of wanting to be closer to home and then getting laid off. Um, After like the first job was in a place where I was running that robot and helping
Mhm.
build that steel racking. I ended up doing more labor at that job than anything because they couldn't keep people on their. I've also worked night shift the entire time I've been a welder as
Really?
well,
Oh
but
my
they couldn't
goodness.
keep laborers on their night shift. So I spent most of my time at that job loading and unloading things from the paint line as the
Oh
rotisserie
wow.
went around, is they just couldn't keep people to get the orders out, so they'd be like, all right, you and you come and help over here,
Interesting. Interesting.
which I find that makes a big difference in jobs as well. You'll get people to be like, that's not my job, you're
Mhm.
paying me money. If you're going to pay me money, I'll do what needs to get done,
Yeah.
because it's either that or
Absolutely.
they send you home and you're not making money.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah,
But you
but
chose
for
you wound up
that,
leaving that job.
yes, because I was driving over an hour one way to that job. And it just was a lot of driving when you worked a 10-hour shift, especially in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I found a job that ended up being only about 15 minutes from home. Um, it was called McCloskey International. I guess it's still called that. It's where I was working. They build like mining and aggregate equipment, so
Oh
trommels,
wow.
rock crushers, things like that. Um, and so I did a lot of MIG welding from that. I did a lot of different jobs. I worked on a number of different departments in that place. And by the time I got laid off, which they just did a round of, we're slow, so here you go, bunch of people by.
Yeah.
Um, I was doing more so fitting than welding. So I was the one with the blueprints and the pieces. I put them all together and then sent them off to get welded by other people. So
Okay.
I really did get a chance to expand my skills there from just welding to actually building things.
Interesting. And did you like that?
I did. It was really cool. It was challenging, interesting learning at times to fit some of these puzzles together because you're looking at the blueprint drawing and you're looking at the pieces you've got and you're like, okay, what? And then once you figure it out, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But sometimes those drawings, you're like, which way does this even go?
Yep. Interesting. And is that the most recent job that you were at before moving? Excuse me.
No, I was at that one until I guess around this time last year, and that was when they
Okay.
did the round of layoffs. But then it only took me a couple of weeks to find another job.
Nice.
I ended up picking up a bit of a commute again, but it was only about 45 minutes, which wasn't too bad. I ended up at a place that built loading docks. So I
Interesting.
was building parts for loading docks, which in Ontario, the way that warehouses are getting built, those things were flying out the door.
Nice. That's fantastic. And you were doing more hands-on, you were doing more welding at that one?
Yeah, that I was it was a good 50-50 mix. Is you'd build a
Okay.
bunch of stuff and then you build a bunch of stuff, and there's enough different parts that it wasn't like I was doing the same thing every single day for 10 hours a night. Is you might spend one whole night building the same things, but then the next night you're doing something different, and the next night something different, and then it might be another week or so before you're back to making something else again. So I've been lucky that none of my jobs have been obnoxiously repetitive.
And it seems like each one of them has kind of built off the next to prepare you for like the next one, whether intentionally or not. Like, you're doing all this
No,
like
it
physical labor at the first, and then you're learning how to build, and then you're combining it and bringing it all together.
it really did, and I'm really hoping that as I continue on, that I just can continue to build my skills and learn new things and improve, and who knows what the next job's going to entail. I have no idea, but I'm open to anything.
Okay, so we're open to everything. I get that. We're putting out to the universe that she is open to everything. However, if like you could wave a magic wand and like be doing your dream gig, do you have an idea of what that is, or are you still just at the stage where you're exploring and learning new things and you don't yet know?
I don't know if I have a true like one specific spot,
Okay.
but um my house has a really nice shop. It's 30 by 36. It is huge.
Okay.
And my uncle, who is an absolute saint, when I told him what I was doing, and he's like, "What do you need?" And I was like, "Well, if you know anybody that's got a welder." Um, so not long before we came out here, he's like, "Hey, pop by my house." He's like, "I had some things lying around." I've got a stick welder and a MIG welder out in my shop right now. So all I have to do is get some electrical run out there with a 220 plug to power them, and I have the ability to start building in my shop. So I guess
Nice.
the true dream would be to be able just build in my shop and send things out the door. And what that also looks like for me is like when I close my eyes and picture building something, my brain doesn't see, pretty flowers for lawn ornaments and stuff like that. As cool as that stuff is, when I see people make it, is incredible. But like I close my eyes and I see, okay, this would look really cool as like the base of the table and stuff like that. So like my brain's seeing like, furniture and functional pieces that people can use. So that would truly be the dream, would be able to be working from home. But in terms of, an outside the home job, is, I don't know, the dream really is to find a nice shop that's not too huge, that, you get a variety of things to do. Like I'd love to work somewhere where I get to do all types of welding, and it's not just this one type of thing. It's depending on the job, you're adjusting what you're doing to accommodate for the proper job. So yeah, I know I don't want to be in like a factory production setting forever. I definitely would love to find a welding job that's a little more relaxing. Not that
Yeah.
welding's truly relaxing. It's, it's hard work, but that's not, a production facility style of
Right.
workplace.
Right. Absolutely. Interesting. I love it. And what a incredible thing that you like you went from working a job you were unhappy with, burnt out on, working 2 jobs to make ends meet, to buying your first house that isn't just a house, but has a 30 by 36 shop in it that could
Yep.
potentially set you up to be a future business owner, to be totally self-sufficient. Like, what a massive change. Like, that is just incredible. Do you ever just like wake up and be like, "Oh my gosh, is this like really is this for real?"
There are days where I sit here and go, when is it truly going to sink in that this is real life right now? Because I don't know if it has yet. I feel like once I get working and going, because like I've been applying to stuff, so and it hasn't been very long, so like I'm trying to be patient and not let myself get worried about that it's only been a little while. So
Right.
it is. I can't believe where I am right now. It's absolutely incredible.
It's you should be very proud of yourself. It really is quite incredible, and it's no small feat. So I'm incredibly proud of you, and I've just met you. It's really cool to see, and I hope anybody out there who's watching this or listening to this and is like questioning whether you want to pursue that dream that you have or that career change or whatever. Like, it is possible. Like, not only is it possible, but it is like amazing and can be just like the best thing ever. And you just never know what's going to happen. You just gotta go and dive in.
Right. Well, and I've been really lucky that all of my workplaces and the school I went to have just been incredibly supportive atmospheres. I have
Nice.
yet to run into anybody that's looked at me and been like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" Like, I've been supported by yeah, everyone that I've come across at this point, and it's been great. Like,
That's
with especially the
phenomenal.
last 2 jobs that I had, the number of friends that I still am in contact with, years later, that I, worked with for 5 seconds at one of these jobs, because it's really been fantastic. I've been lucky to not have had to experience some of the things in the workplaces that, a number of women have experienced, being, one of the few, because well, I spent the last year at the loading dock place, and other than a couple of weeks training on day shift, I was on night shift that whole time. I was the
Oh, wow.
only woman on night shift, and we were a small group. We were only about 15 people, but like, absolutely at no time did I have any issues being the only girl on that shift.
That's
Is it
fantastic.
was it was a fantastic time, and we had a great time, and I know those guys all miss me right now.
Mhm. That's so fantastic to hear, 'cause I think that's the fear often, and unfortunately, it is, often a valid fear, and we've had guests on who have had negative situations, and
Mhm,
especially
mhm.
night shift, where that can be a potentially, like, scary thing of things could go wrong. And it's so fantastic to hear that you never had any issues. What do you attribute that to? The was it the company? Was it policies? Was it just the individuals that you got fortunate enough to be working with? Was it how you carried yourself? What do you attribute it to?
1 second.
Oh,
Headphones dying.
oh no.
All right, there we go. I think it's a combination of all of those things. I imagine all of those places have policies in place that, we all go, yeah, 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 I read that.
Right.
um, but it's a combination. Is I feel like just the groups of guys that I've worked with, and the age range, like I said, has ranged from 18-year-olds who are directly out of high school up to guys that are 50, 60, nearing 70 years old. I have yet to have um, any issues, but I feel like a big part of it also does come from the attitude that I bring to my workspaces. Is, as much as like I made the comment that I'm more confident than I've ever been, I'm not cocky, and I'm willing to admit that I have limitations in terms of, strength and skill. I'm not afraid to ask questions. Like, I know I can't lift as much stuff as them. So like I've never had a problem going up and being like, "Hey, I need help." Is I'm not in there going, "I'm a girl and I can do absolutely anything," because I know I can't and I don't want to hurt myself. So part of it is I don't go in there cocky, but I go in there confident because I know I kick ass. Um, and it's also being lucky enough to find the guys like I know I can be funny and I know I can be inappropriate at times, but I've also been really lucky to work with all of these guys that, understand my humor, have the same level but, not excessive, inappropriate jokes cuz
Mhm.
everybody tells dirty jokes. That's what makes the world go round. It's funny. But, again, I'm really lucky to not have issues with, having to be like, "Okay, guys, that's too far." So,
Right.
it's a combination of, just the attitude at which I go in there with, which is always wanting to learn more, knowing I don't know everything and can't do everything and not acting like I can,
Yeah.
but also going in there knowing that I do kick ass and this is what I do. So I don't, let them look at me and go, "Oh, look at this, person that doesn't feel super confident about being here makes them an easy target." So not that they should be getting targeted anyway, but
Right.
they look
No.
at me and they'll go, "Okay, if I razz her, she's gonna give her right back."
Yeah. Were you able to find that happy medium right off the bat, or did it take a while to find that confidence? Because I feel like you're in this that's the sweet spot, right? Like it's I think a lot of people undervalue themselves and and then maybe as a result of undervaluing themselves, they oversell themselves to try to make themselves feel better. So it like winds up being these two extremes, right? Um
Mhm.
and and you've kind of found this happy place where it's it's I know I don't know everything, but I know I am good at what I do. How long did it take you to get to that place where you felt confident walking in and saying, I know I have stuff to learn still, but I know that I know my shit."
I feel like the transition really happened during my few years at McCloskey's when I was, getting better at my welding, and then, was specifically asked by the night shift manager if I wanted to learn to be building things, which that in itself is a huge confidence boost to know that they're, choosing me, knowing
Yeah.
that, knowing that this stuff needs to be built right, and if it doesn't it's not going to fit together and there's going to be big problems, is it's good to know that they trusted me with that job. So that really helped. And then by the time I got to my next job, it was, I know I can do all this stuff. I wasn't let go because I don't have skills. I was let go because they don't have enough work to keep everybody. um, and I wasn't going to sit around and wait to see, if they needed people again. I was going to move on to the next thing because I need to keep making money. So going into there, it's like, okay, I know what I can do, but I'm like, I also know I've only been welding for 3 years. So like, that doesn't make me, a master of anything. That makes me a newbie, like super duper,
A good newbie, a
right?
skilled newbie. I love it. Have you always been this person that dove headfirst into things? Like, was this you as a child?
Yeah, I think so. I've always been that person to try new things, go places, make new friends. Um, and yeah, not be afraid. Like when I decided to take massage, like when I decided way back that massage therapy was going to be my thing, I think
Yeah.
I was only in the 10th grade. And
Oh,
people are
wow.
like, "Oh, you're going to change your mind. This isn't a good job. But you're not going to this isn't going to be anything." But I
Interesting.
focused all of my stuff in high school to take me to that job. But at the same time, like when it came time to supplement that income, I ended up with a cell phone sales job on the side, which I got through my sister-in-law. I had never done customer service or sales or any front-facing job like that in my entire life. So that was definitely a dive in headfirst and try not to drown moment. Same with getting into welding. It was all right, let's just jump off the deep end and pray that it works.
I love it. Amazing. Do you miss massage therapy ever?
Not not enough to think about going back. Like, I don't sit there and go, "Oh, man, it'd be nice to give a massage." No, that really doesn't, as much as my husband hates it, it really doesn't cross my mind very often, so
All right, fair enough. I was gonna say, with how long you hesitate, I'm like, it's okay to say no. You're allowed to say no.
right, and I just had to think about it. I was like, "Do I ever think about it?" And I was like, "I don't."
No. Okay.
Not
Well, that
unless my
means
friend who was also a massage therapist and I, like, happened to bring it up in conversation, like, "Can you believe we
right.
did that for so long and neither of us do that anymore?"
Oh, so your friend also left massage therapy? What did they go and do?
Her and her husband, restore, canoes, like cedar and wooden canoes.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah,
So another interesting turnaround of from one type of more quote unquote stereotypically feminine hands-on trade, massage
yeah,
therapy, to a quote unquote more traditionally male trade, but still that same working with hands,
yeah.
building, fixing, making, and finding a whole different level of satisfaction from it. That's fascinating. Very interesting. Okay, so we're getting close to the end of our hour. It goes so fast, doesn't it?
It really does.
All right, so in this final little bit, I guess I'm trying to think if there's any other questions I want to ask you before my final question. Um, have we is there anything we haven't covered yet that you would love to cover or talk about?
Um, I don't know, I think we kinda
All right.
touched on most things.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah,
All
no,
right, then
I think we did good.
I'm going to ask my favorite question. You did fantastic. This has been great. I've loved hearing your story, and the audience is definitely as well. Another welder who has her own business, who's one of our regulars, said that she loves hearing your story, and she's glad that she became a welder. Um, Definitely need more women
Well,
in the
thank you,
trades.
MT Fire Queen.
Yes, you should definitely check her out. You guys have lots in common, I think. But anyway, so final question. If you had the opportunity to go back and speak to little baby Sarah, um, what are your words of advice to her?
Um, the first one would be to speak up a little bit more often, because there were a lot of times where, you just keep quiet to keep the peace and to, be that, agreeable person, and really should, spoke my truth a little more often over the years. Um, but also just to continue to do things the way that I wanted to do them, because even back then people were like, don't go to college, college is a waste of time, you have to go to university. And I went my own way at that point. So um really just be a little bit more confident, because there were a few opportunities I had to do a little bit of public speaking when I was younger and in school, and it made me so freaking nervous. Like, so much so that, like, sweating and clammy and can't talk.
Mhm.
And now look at me now, I'm on a freaking podcast. Like, heck,
I love it.
I even froze out and didn't do a speech at my best friend's wedding when I was her maid of honor, because I literally almost panicked. So, um, yeah, it's just to have more confidence, because you make good choices, and usually they're the right ones.
When you trust your gut. Yep. When you trust your gut and you actually listen to yourself, absolutely. And I love that you did. I love that your husband was intuitive enough to encourage you in this direction and that you
He is amazing.
followed and dove in. It's absolutely fantastic. Your story is phenomenal and such a great like success story for the trades and just very inspiring. So I'm so grateful for you for sharing it. Thank you so very much. Um, And I
Well,
also want to
thank you for having
validate.
me. This has been amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to validate real quick your like fear of speaking, because it is, I think it's the number one fear, like, of all time. Like, people are more afraid of public speaking than like anything else. So you are totally not alone. And I too was that person in high school. I think I was supposed to give a speech, and I disappeared and I hid and I didn't do it because I was too scared. So no matter what you're afraid of, you can overcome it eventually. I did. Here we are. But yeah, you're definitely not alone in that. So fantastic advice nonetheless. Thank you for sharing your story. You're absolutely phenomenal. I hope that other women like you get to see this, other men too, who are looking for a change in their life and need that little extra push to take the dive and go for it and pursue. Congratulations on all of your successes. It is so cool to see. And I'm excited to continue to watch your career unfold and see what's next on this journey for you.
Me too.
I know, right? All right. And folks at home, thank you guys so very much for hanging out with us this evening and sharing part of your night with us. I hope you enjoyed meeting Sarah as much as I did. Make sure you go follow her, check her out, throw her some support, and see what she's up to next, because I have a feeling it's going to be fun. And until next time, I wish you guys the best. Make sure you come back every Wednesday for another new episode. And of course, every Monday, we release an archive episode of one of our episodes from this past life that With Her Two Hands used to have. We used to be an Instagram live series back in the day. So 2 times a week, you get to watch With Her Two Hands, once on Monday as a replay and once live on Wednesday night. Make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, leave comments down below. Let the algorithm know that this is important to spread out to the masses so that more folks can hear these incredible women's stories and be inspired by them. And until next time, guys, be good to yourselves, be good to one another, be good human beings, go make some cool stuff, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.